Anthony Davis 2011.
Yeah, not to mention the 5 dimes that he had in that ball game on Friday night against McNeese State. Big story as last year's high school player of the year at Montverde Academy, where he won a national championship. Free throw by Ray is off the mark, but things adjusting and moving very quickly for Simmons, who is under a very searing, hot, and discerning spotlight with all the national media and hype, ESPN cameras following him around for weeks at a time. So much poise beyond his years.
Mark, he's really displayed and exemplified so much humility, though. There's no arrogance with this young man whatsoever, and I think that's probably what's most impressive about him.
Sampson, another talented freshman, missing that three-pointer off the mark. The officials are going to say Kennesaw State basketball.
You look at a guy like Sampson, Mark, actually had 18 points in his first game. So many people forget about him and Blakeney. Without Simmons, this is still an outstanding recruiting class.
Yeah, outstanding, and great shooting there by Yonell Brown. Mentioned the fact that he had 34 points against Alabama several nights ago. He was their leading scorer last year, and Al Skinner certainly glad that he's back this year for another season.
And he's a preseason All-Atlantic Sun selection. Actually was third in the ASUN last year in scoring and first on his team.
Blakeney will go to the free throw line, and that might be 3 free throws as he was attempting a three-pointer while fouled. The foul is going to go against Kendrick Ray, his first personal foul, sending Blakeney to the free throw line. Talked about that Australian tour where he started 4 out of the 5 games. He averaged 14 points a game on that tour, and that tour really helped in terms of team chemistry and bonding. And for a team with 3 starting freshmen, you start ahead of the curve a little bit when you come back, right?
It was perfectly planned, Mark. You have to give a lot of credit to the staff. And, you know, speaking with Antonio Blakeney in practice yesterday, he said, I really love and feel blessed to have the opportunity to play with a guy like Ben Simmons. How many teammates say that? So I think that works out well for LSU, too. He's surrounded by guys that welcome the attention that he well-deservedly gets.
Yeah, he played with Simmons prior to his time here at LSU, so he knows the drill as far as the spotlight goes. He knows that Ben's a very willing passer and unselfish. That's going to be a kick ball against LSU. 14-11 just underway here. We played a little over 5 minutes at the Pete Maravich Assembly Center here on the campus of LSU. I'm Mark Jones, chopping it up with Damian Fishback. Pass inside. Quarterman got caught napping a little bit, and Kendrick Ray is having a tough time offensively here at the start of the game. Cross court to Blakeney. Nice dump down inside. Simmons missed the layup. Missed it on the other side, and that's going to be a foul against LSU.
You have to wonder what the attention span's like for these young players if they're truly clocking in right now. Those 2 layups that Ben Simmons missed, that's the one thing that I've seen, even in his exhibition game and his game earlier, that he hasn't had to turn it on yet.
Yeah, they have not been tested, albeit it's very early in the season, just game 2 here. 360 attempt. Not quite the way that Jones wanted it to go. It's out of bounds. Owl basketball. Looks like Jordan Jones got hung up in the air. Johnny Jones, one of the few coaches that has played in a Final Four and coached in a Final Four here at LSU. Played for the legendary Coach Dale Brown here. There's Yonell Brown, draws the foul on Patterson. That's going to be Patterson's first personal foul. Again, the emphasis on the non-impediment rules and the freedom of movement. A big push, a directive, not just a point of emphasis, but a directive this year for NCAA officials. As Quarterman comes out of the ball game, Josh Gray comes in. Hey, Kennesaw State, Damian, out to a pretty good start here, down just 3.
Well, they really are. They actually started down 21-5 versus Alabama, but over the next 30 minutes, they outscored Alabama. So they have proven that they can play at an SEC level And they have come out to a good start tonight as you see another basket by Brown.
Simmons inside trying to counter, missed the offhand layup out of bounds. It'll be Kennesaw State basketball with a chance to take the lead here. Hey, when we asked Coach Jones about his concern defensively, he pointed at this guy, number 4.
Well, he said it reminded him of a guard that he had at North Texas, and they actually came to LSU and got a win. So Brown is well respected by the staff, and he needs to be respected by LSU as well.
He played pretty much the entire game against Alabama, and last year he averaged 37 minutes. So I was joking with him at shoot-around whether he had enough tread left on those shoes of his. He said, I got plenty. Off his miss, here's Simmons from Blakeney. Simmons draws the contact. Foul is going to go against the Owls.
And Mark, that's what makes him difficult to guard. That's 6'10" versus 5'9".
Hey, folks, Tuesday night on ESPN, it's a special night of college hoops at the United Center in Chicago at 7:30 Eastern. First game of the State Farm Champions Classic between number 2 Kentucky, number 5 Duke, then at 10. Number 4 Kansas against number 13 Michigan State. Coverage begins Tuesday at 7 on ESPN. Boy, some great games coming up, and at halftime of that, College Football Playoff will announce their top 4 and the standings.
I don't know if you can get much better than those 4 teams. Izzo and Mike Krzyzewski, Coach Cal, and Bill Self.
Some real iconic basketball coaches. Hey, what do you make of the fact that Brown is still in the ball game here, Damian? And he's got 2 fouls. That corner jumper by Hector off the mark.
I think Coach Al Skinner realizes that he has to have him in the basketball game, and he trusts his senior right now. What an Earl the Pearl spin by Mr. Simmons.
Ben Simmons, spinning like a DJ on those turntables, gets the bucket. And it's a 16-13 lead for the Tigers. A kick ball called against LSU, but one more look at this great handle.
Remember, this is 6'10", 240, wide open, so beautiful, so smooth in the open floor, graceful, almost like a ballerina. We told you before, well worth the price of admission.
Maybe it was all that Australian rules football playing you did as a youngster growing up in Australia. Off the putback, that was Nigel Pruitt, their second leading scorer a season ago. And it's still just a 1-point game.
And Pruitt only had 1 point against Alabama. And so coming back as a second leading scorer, he wants to play well here tonight.
Gray with that hammer pass on the baseline to Blakeney for 3. Blakeney with a quick 9 points, the reigning co-SEC player of the week. Brown. Nice feed inside. Maybe one pass too many. Out of bounds. It'll stay Kennesaw State basketball.
Oh, Kennesaw State is definitely hanging on tight, but Mr. Ben Simmons, ESPN Top 100.